Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and log in. We come together by the light of the chalice flame, and if you're joining us from home, we invite you to light a candle or a chalice. Please join together as we say the words we say each week to light the chalice flame. We light this flame as a symbol of new life enlightening our way, as a symbol of the warmth in every human heart. Let the lighting of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of hope, of peace, of love. May we share that light with all people.
Good morning. I'm your worship leader, Beth Belmore. Thank you. I've been a member since sometime in the 80s. One of my first recollections of this congregation was setting up and taking down the wooden chairs on Superior Street for the services. In sync with our theme today, I came as a lesbian woman in probably the late 80s with a young child, feeling pretty vulnerable. But it just so happened it was at that time that this congregation became a welcoming congregation, and I knew I had found myself a beloved community. So since then, I've played several roles. I've taken a few years off to live different places on the weekends, but I enjoy so much the journey circles, the meal ministry, and this last year, worship leading. This is really a beloved community. If this is your first time visiting the fellowship, I want to extend a special welcome. We would love to help you get connected here. There are so many ways that you can get involved. You can talk to any of the staff after the service or even send an email. By way of regular reminders, the location of the exits are to your right and left, and behind you to your right. And we're reminding you to silence your cell phones. I haven't said that before. It is now time to settle in. Take a deep breath. Become aware of your body wherever you are. Allow yourself to be fully present to this time together. We're so glad you're here on this beautiful Wisconsin morning.
We're gathered together here, and from our homes, we call one another to gather, creating sacred space by our intentions of goodwill, creating safe space where laughter and tears, attention and contemplation make this time holy, forging out of the world a sanctuary for our hearts remembering.
One of the foundations of our faith is generosity. We take time each week to practice this foundation and to strengthen our ability to give as we are able and to receive when we are in need. If you are ever in need of emotional, spiritual, or financial support, please, we are here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out to our ministers. It is a joy for them to be able to help you. And if you are one who is feeling more stable and able to give, we ask that you do so in that spirit of generosity. There are many ways to give to the fellowship. You can give of your time and talent. And we especially need the financial resources to allow our ministries to thrive for the months and years to come. If you are here in our building, feel free to come up to one of the ushers who is standing in the back, or you can raise your hand to have an usher come to you for offering. For everyone else, we encourage you to donate online or via our text to give function on those smartphones. Thank you. Your gifts are deeply appreciated.
Part of our commitment to each other is to bring our joys and our concerns together at this time, taking time to honor the concerns, the joys, the transitions in our lives. This allows us to share with one another so our joys might feel multiplied and our sorrows divided. In a moment, we'll share those joys and concerns that have been submitted by people in our circle of care. If you're joining us on Zoom, you could also share in the chat box whatever joy, concern, prayer, request, or intention might be in your heart and on your mind. We also invite anyone here in the building after the service to join a member of the care team at the back of the sanctuary by the bowl of stones, if you're in need of a listening presence. For care and connection during the week, please reach out to our ministers or contact the office. If you'd like to include your news in a spoken joys and concerns or our email, you can call or contact anyone on staff or fill out a website form. We now turn our attention to the joys and concerns wider than those of this gathered community. We allow our minds and hearts to reach out in ever-widening circles outward, like ripples in water. Our first stone is for our community and state of Wisconsin that may strengthen its ideals in education and inclusiveness. We add our next stone for the United States in its uncertainty of economics, its wave of gun violence, its hearings, as it steadies the ship of state from tossing in wild waters. Internationally, as the ripples continue, we recognize our interconnectedness across borders and oceans, and we add another stone for Ukraine and all peoples caught in war and violence and we celebrate the United Nations inclusiveness as new nations join the deciding circles. We enfold all who are celebrating and all who are suffering in the embrace of our hearts and commit ourselves to acts of compassion and justice in service to those circles beyond our own. May this moment of silence make it so.
Our settling song this morning will be number 131, Love Will Guide Us. The words will be on the screen. Please rise if you would like to. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night.
In our first reading by Claire Thompson, On the Wings of Wisdom. One of my most treasured bird-watching experiences occurred at dawn. As I followed the path back to my lodge, I turned a corner and suddenly found myself face to face with a pygmy owl, perched on a branch only 2 or 3 feet away. Its gaze expressed only mysterious combination of a piercing wildness and total serenity. As we looked into each other's eyes, the first rays of sunshine of the day filtered through the trees and lit up the top of his beautiful brown and white speckled head. Together, we welcomed the sunlight in complete stillness. This was the enthralling silence of the wild. For a moment, all noise stopped, be it the chatter of my mind or the whirring mosquitoes. I saw reality with intense clarity as I lost myself in the owl's stare. I was left with awe, with respect, humility, and absolute compassion. One of life's deeper truths had revealed itself. Each moment is a unique set of interconnected conditions coming together for once in a lifetime. We call it our present experience. This wasn't about me, the owl, the sunlight, or the forest. It was about everything we shared in that unforgettable instance. Through the mesmerizing silence that had emerged between the owl and me, I caught a glimpse of the whole world.
Our second reading is from Reverend Robin Tanner. I recoil before spiritual intentions aiming for peace that's unaffected, untroubled, unchanged by another white supremacist manifesto, cascades of anti-trans bills, or the cruel politics of war. What comfort is untainted tranquility that never has its own sleepless nights or is restless with grief, talking with ghosts of children and elders and a God that is tired. I rest only in the company of an honest and confused faith, broken open and angry with no tidy answers, but a love that is willing to fight. I don't know exactly what it looks like in a body, in a prayer, in daily life, to refuse to be resolved while also refusing to wear out. Pressed in either sideways directions, I find only dead ends, so I feel downward, like roots, like lineages, like the dark, quiet soils where time doesn't exist. Burrowing beneath the fragile, careful surface, I seek the spiritual underground, where the unkempt and unruly groan in those dense, wordless depths, and worms are busy shifting the earth.
All will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? Julian, do you not know about pain? I said, Julian, do you not know about hunger? Julian, do you not know about shame? She said, all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about loneliness? Julian, do you not know about disease? I said, Julian, do you not know about cruelty? I said, Julian, it's too much. It brought me to my knees. She said, all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will will be well. She said, no one does not know about sorrow. She said, no one does not know about pain. She said, no one does not know about hunger. She said, no one does not know about shame. She said, all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. She said, no one does not know about loneliness, and no one does not know about disease. She said, no one does not know about cruelty. I know it's too much. It brought me to my knees, where I heard, all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. She said, baby girl, do you not know about tenderness? And baby girl, do you not know about friends? She said, baby girl, do you not know about the Spirit? Baby girl, do you not know it's only love that never ends? It's only love that never ends. And so all will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well. All will be well, and all will be well. All manner of things will be well.
I have to find my part. Oh, my reflection's not in there. Do you have it there? Yeah. Okay, I have it back here. Hang on. One moment. It's a new crew. The word vulnerable was used by a member at a recent meeting to describe our beloved community as we have and continue to experience changes. It seemed fitting when Reverend Sidney identified the theology of vulnerability as the theme for this service. So, of course, I looked at what the experts had to say about this and found the most basic definition as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It is that unstable feeling we get when we step out of our own comfort zones to do something that forces us or feels like it forces us to lose control. It is also described as the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. Alec Hutchinson, in Living Peace, Essential Teaching for Enriching Life, says, and I quote, vulnerability really means to be strong and secure enough within yourself that you are able to walk outside without your armor on. You are able to show up in life just as you are. That is genuine strength and courage. Armor may look tough, but all it does is mask insecurity and fear. Our armor can take many forms and intensities, most deeply personal and from our lived experience. But I envision getting that armor off holds an image of open hands, open hearts, and open minds. Researcher, author, and Texas academic Brené Brown spent 12 years studying vulnerability, shame, and connection. I have to admit that I'm not one of her top fans, but she has 5 #1 New York Times bestsellers and one of the top 10 TED Talks, which just happens to be about vulnerability. Her key messages emphasize that too often we listen to our critical inner voices, especially in situations where there are no guarantees, and hear that there may be something about us that if others see, we will not be worthy of connection. In her findings, those who are most vulnerable and most courageous are also the most well-connected with others, also resulting in the opportunities for enhanced love, joy, creativity, belonging, and trust. Shifting to another expert that I am a fan of, our own Reverend Christina. She noted in one of her recent services that one of her top 3 sermon topics was, "You are enough." Our individual and collective fear of not being good enough ties directly to our ability to show up around either life, creates vulnerable situations, or ourselves choose to move into an uncertain and no guarantees place. I heard a recent example of this moving forward confidently in our annual meeting last Sunday. New leaders, committees, and plans were abundant. We are enough as a community. I would be remiss without noting the good example of Reverend Sidney stepping into a changing situation to lead us during this time. You have our gratitude. I would also vulnerably say that much of my time considering this topic was directly influenced by a new experience I have chosen that has made me feel very vulnerable. On Tuesday, I leave for Bayfield, Wisconsin, gateway to the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, 20 wilderness-designated islands in Lake Superior. For my family, me, and some of my ancestors, one of the most sacred places on earth. We have enjoyed this space for nearly 5 decades. It is time for me to give back. So this time, I'm going to Stockton Island, about an hour out into Lake Superior, for a 3-week volunteer appointment as a solo National Lakeshore Ranger. It will be me, the backpackers, the kayakers, the boaters, and the island. Stockton has one of the largest concentrations of black bears in the area, 21 in this count this spring. My backup is via the National Park Service radio and the Coast Guard. I am thrilled for this opportunity and terrified, feeling so vulnerable. Vulnerable to what could happen with weather challenges, visitor injuries, bear and other animal encounters, lost day hikers, stranded kayakers, and so many challenging possibilities. But sharing this reflection with you has also reinstilled for me is that I am now also vulnerable and open to a unique chance of a lifetime, connecting with people, experiences, and the wilderness herself as never before. All of us can be stepping out of our comfort zones to make real and authentic connections. May it be so.
That was fabulous. Thank you. Well, it's been quite a week. For me, watching the U.S. congressional hearing on the January 6th Capitol events is an exercise in breathing through tragedy in the ancient philosophical Greek sense, breathing through the combination of pity and horror of this moment in our history, an experience of intense fragility, the vulnerability of this American experiment in democracy. While we've been through pinnacles of tension before, as my colleague and historian Reverend Fred Wooden puts it, when he points to Shays' Rebellion of 1786, the Know-Nothing Party of the 1850s with its chilling resonances to today's polarization, the Civil War itself, McCarthyism, Vietnam, all those are times where we have been here before, but others point out what's not happened before. Climate change, social media, corporate influence. It may not be a time for optimism, but it certainly is a time for hope. To meet the asking years, my own hope is bolstered when I attend to community, to comfort for myself, and collaboration. I'm interested in cultivating both deep concern and deep calm. I like balance. I like to work with the dialectics of my own position in the world of both privilege and vulnerability. I like to work with the human predicament of living as an individual and as a community, the unit and the universal, the Unitarian and Universalist. The grand, sweeping, overpowering theories of theological universal absolutes, the assumption of a wholly objective stance, has not proven the test of time in order to meet the asking years. It ignores the coordinates, the position of those who make the generalizations, the overarching theologies. So while traditional theology asks us to look at what is the world, what is a human being, what is God or the transcendent, there is now another axis, and that's location, coordination, our coordinates, our orienting ourselves in history, on the planet, socioeconomically, in gender, all the axes that tell us that we are unique and also living in our own bias. But let's step back for a moment. Why theology? I recall my absolute panic unto despair when I was asked as a fun icebreaker at the beginning of seminary to just declare my theology. All I could come up with, everybody had all these words and theories and citations. What did I have? Everything is connected. And now I agree with that hesitant student self. In the interconnected web, we interbe, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, we inter-are. But I was interested in those categories and divisions of formal theology, and I'm grateful to those who invited me to enter that realm. I remember Professor Michael Coogan, who gifted us with his vulnerability as he wrestled right in front of us with his deep intellectual and Catholic backgrounds after coming to class from staying up all night the night before for the home birth of his first child and speaking from a cloud of shimmering ecstasy and trying to make it all make sense and teach. The best I can do, I recall him saying, is that theos for theology is from the ancient Greek for divinity, that is, deities or divinities. So gods, goddesses, the spirits, forces, not only beyond transcendent, but also within, the making of meaning, the intersection of thought and life force is holy ground. And Mike Hogue of Meadville, Lombard, bespeaking religious naturalism, who emphasized theology, which means study, ology, to remind us that one's theology is not a God, God's self, because that would be idolatry, but it's the study of these matters. Study was never only intellectual. There used to be a room in my grandparents' apartment called the study. It was always a place of peace. And then out in the streets, in a place of exuberance, I remember singing, "I ain't gonna study war no more." And then there was the response I often heard in my diverse church in Chicago, where I grew up. When something came along, people said, "I'll study on that." So to study the spirits of life, the forces, the divinity with and among and beyond us, can be done with the mind, of course. We use that ability to envision the world as it could be, the religious imagination, where in the language of my earliest UU hymn book, Unitarian hymn book, the Red Book, we will work together as a community until the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away, bringing together our heart's yearning and our religious imagination. The traditional biblical query in Psalm 8 asks, "What is man that thou art mindful of him?" It was chiseled on the highest cornice of the philosophy building, and it seemed extremely serendipitous to us eager students of world religion when the ivy climbed up higher and higher and higher and covered "What is man that thou art mindful of him?" to say, "that thou art." Well, that's the Hindu formulation, tam tavat asi, to the question, what is human? That thou art. You are that, capital T. You are the universal divinity. But the ivy was promptly torn down because, heaven forfend, a shrine should give way to the natural world, even if it is revelatory. We held a little ceremony of sorrow around the fallen leaves. But we were there to study in books, so we did that. Study is books. Study is also science. We can empirically perform a study, such as the ones recently revealing Wisconsin's position as third from the bottom in the U.S. in racially distributed pollution, or its recent elevation from number 18 to number 8 in education in the country. To study toward our highest ideals, our principles, inclusive education, inclusive health, the best of the gods and goddesses among us and within us. There's study, and study enables us to decide what to focus on, because another aspect of study is focus, the deep dive of attention. I ain't gonna study is an act of resistance. I ain't gonna study consumerism, social media, the forces that promulgate fear and hate. I ain't going to study the rage within. I will not focus and make that the strongest thing to my attention. Your greatest power and act of revolution is where you choose to put your attention. You withdraw the power that you yield to forces of hatred and division with the choices you make about your attention. Because that's admitting our vulnerability. We're vulnerable to all the machinations of the psychology behind advertising, behind propaganda. Our nervous systems are vulnerable to appeals of fear. We have not yet evolved in a way that overcomes that fear. As a whole species, we are moving, breathing, living, vulnerable and striving creatures of dreams and bones. So there's a whole bunch, of course, of theological lenses. I look at your mission statement to welcome everyone, grow in mind and spirit, lead in social justice, and I see the layers, the artwork of theologies. I see here among you liberation, feminist, process, queer, womanist, Latinx, Christian, pagan, humanist, naturalist theologies. You have most certainly done the work. As a religious community, you are a congregation in every sense of the word. And you teach the children. How are the children? Kasarian enge, ask the people of the Messiah to one another. Not the Greek, what is your village and who are your gods? Not, how are you? But, how are the children? Naomi Shihab Nye writes this poem called Shoulders. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say fragile, handle with care. His ear fills up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The world will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling. For we are the world. We are human, humus. To increase our humanity, we choose our theologies. We teach our children. It is hoped that we can live in fragility and delicacy, using what the Buddhists call skillful means, so we tell the children hurt happens, and it's okay to be vulnerable. This is a safe space. If you feel hurt, say, ouch. If you've hurt someone, say, I'm sorry. And then both people get to say, thank you. Ouch. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your feeling. Thank you for your apology. Ouch. I'm sorry. Thank you. If you feel hurt by someone's hurt, if you feel hurt by someone's hurt, we tell the children, take turns. After their hurt, express yours. And then you get to take a turn. They get to say they're sorry, and we both get to say, thank you. For adults, we say it in somewhat more fancy language. When you debate a person about something that affects them more than it affects you, remember that it will take a much greater emotional toll on them than on you. For you, it might feel like an academic exercise. For them, it feels like revealing their pain only to have you dismiss their experience and sometimes their humanity. The fact that you might remain more calm under these circumstances is a consequence of your privilege, not increased objectivity on your part. So I stand before you, 72 years old, obviously technologically incompetent. I'm sorry. So grateful for the privilege, and so determined to try to use that privilege toward something larger than myself. And I want to end with two readings, one from a Black woman, Ntozake Shange, with a Black womanist perspective, and another from the scientist Heinz Pagels, physicist, who ends his book, The Cosmic Code, with this. So first, Ntozake Shange from For Colored Girls Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow is Enough. She has just found out about a murdered child. I sat up one night, walking a boarding house, screaming, crying, the ghost of another woman who was missing what I was missing, and I wanted to jump up out of my bones and be done with myself. Leave me alone and go on in the wind was too much. I fell into a numbness till the only tree I could see took me up in her branches, held me in the breeze, made me dawn dew that chill at daybreak. The sky wrapped me up, swinging rose light everywhere. The sky laid over me like a million men. I was cold. I was burning up, a child, and endlessly weaving the moon with my tears. I found God in myself, and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. After that, in this choreo play, there's a beautiful piece of women all holding hands, telling each other I was missing something so important, a laying on of hands. And then Heinz Pagels. In response to our vulnerability and mortality, he writes this: I often dream about falling. Such dreams are commonplace to the ambitious or those who climb mountains. Lately I dreamed I was clutching at the face of a rock, but it would not hold. Gravel gave way. I grasped for a shrub, but it pulled loose. And in complete terror, I fell into the abyss. Suddenly, I realized that my fall was relative. There was no bottom and no end. A feeling of pleasure overcame me. I realized that what I embody, the principle of life itself, cannot be destroyed. We are written into the cosmic code, the order of the universe. As I continued to fall in the dark void, embraced by the vault of the heavens, I sang to the beauty of the stars, and I made my peace with the darkness. Let's sing our closing hymn.
Our closing hymn today is number 170. We are a gentle, angry people. We'll be singing the first 5 verses, and the words will be on the screen. We'd just like to note that the 5th verse, the words have been changed from the original to be more inclusive of our entire LGBTQ community. Oh yes, please rise if you would like.
We are
Our time together is coming to a close, which means our time to return to the world and our daily lives is beginning. Remember that there are always ways to get connected here, even online, and to live our faith more fully. Be sure to read the weekly Scroll e-newsletter, or let us know if you wanted to be added to that mailing list. Check the order back of the service for some highlights about what's coming up. We invite you now to consider something from today's service that you would like to carry with you away from our gathering into your week. Maybe a phrase, a topic, a song, or something else. It is our hope that it will provide inspiration and empowerment for you until we are together again.
And now please join me in our unison words for extinguishing our chalice flame, even as we continue to hold its warmth and light in our hearts. As we extinguish this flame, let us go our ways with hope in our hearts, with our spirits renewed, and with a deeper understanding of life's mystery. Let us carry the light of compassion and commitment to build a better world. And with that, may we rest in the company of a faith broken open and angry with no tidy answers, but a love that is willing to carry the light. Go in peace, knowing we wait to embrace you upon your return.